Hello, everyone. Thank you very much. Wow, that echoes. Okay, sorry. Thank you very much for coming. This is the last session of TC, I believe, and the last of the blueprints session. So it's how to boost adoption. Nope, mixed it up. How to build your user community and boost adoption. I've done that every single time I've rehearsed this. So glad I could share that with you all. So we're here today to speak to you about community, as you know, and as why you come here. So we're going to start with what a community is. I can give you a definition, but I wanted to get a better understanding of kind of what communities are you a part of, so we can see a little bit of who's in the room here. So I'm going to ask you that question, and I just want you to shout out answers. Please don't feel obliged to shout to me a bunch of things related to work. We are people outside of work as well. So what communities are you a part of? Anyone? Takers?
Yoga.
Yoga? Toujours.
Anyone?
Yoga, yeah. I am part of a climbing gym. We share values there and get quite snarky when people break the rules. So I'd say that's a community I'm a part of. Anyone else? Any takers? It's one person? Yeah, shout it out. Tennis, that's cool. That's definitely a club, community. Yes, in the back there. Mountain rescue. That's a cool one. Not that tennis wasn't cool, but that. Yeah, that doesn't get much cooler than that. So questions for that guy afterwards. He'll be up here to answer questions about mountain rescue. But yeah, we get a sense. We are all involved in all kinds of communities on a daily basis. So I mean, my Siri definition of community is a social group of individuals who share common values. So that's what we're doing here. We are very passionate about community within organizations, but we wanted to look at why a community is important within a company or within an organization, because that's why we're here. To look at that, I'm gonna try this again. We wanted to get a consensus of what people think of in terms of benefits that you get from being a part of a community. We found loads. I found loads in research, and there's lots of philosophical debates about this, but I wanted to understand from you. So if you would bear with me one more time, last time I do this, shout out some things, benefits that you could see getting from a community that you're a part of. Yeah. Sorry? Support. Yeah, that is definitely a good one. Support. I can say in climbing, when I'm sucking out and everyone's telling me that I'm sucking out, I'm getting really good support from them. Yeah? Anyone else? Takers? Yeah. Sharing of knowledge, a great one again. Encouragement. Yeah, these are all things that we get from communities, and they're the reason fundamentally why we join a community. So why wouldn't we take that to the office? And people do take it to the office because whether we like it or not, when we go to work, we are part of a community. And in our day-to-day job, what we found, and these are within Blueprint as well, what we found that the 5 things that you get from being part of a community is learning, as someone pointed out here, collaboration, so you're collaborating with others, sometimes from outside of your direct business role, recognition, so getting promotions, getting recognition for the work that you're doing, because we all work hard, right? Support, which someone mentioned, is it's support. You get not just support to fix a problem, like the support, IT support, but in support in general, to be able to know that you're going on the right track and that people can give you encouragement, which was also mentioned. And finally, this one I love, is feedback. Because we all make up a company, and the community allows you to give feedback to the organization to change things. Look at the strives of companies for diversity and these types of things. This is all community-based movements. So that's what we thought. But why is it important for you to establish a community within a community that you have in your organization? And to that, we'll look at the Kubler-Ross change curve. You've probably all heard of this, the 5 stages of grief, that type of thing. But what they did was when they developed this in relation to grief, they found that if they applied it to workplaces, they found that people would go through the same process. On the right-hand side is morale and competence, so how high-performing someone is. And they found that once you kind of had that change occur, you went into this decline because your day-to-day interactions were changing and you got scared and nervous. And that brought down your performance, which would send you into this spiral, which eventually ended in depression. Hopefully not, but sometimes it does. And it occurs all the time. We burn out, right? And then what happens is that we have natural instincts within us, self-talk, these types of things, where we eventually would incorporate these changes, and we'll gradually come back up to become better or at the same rate. Similar to when something tragic happens in our lives, eventually we'll come back to some semblance of normalcy. But what we try to do with the community is we try to get rid of that deep dive, because that's a negative thing happening. You want to have your employees be happy, and anyone who works in HR looks at human processes, which is the #1 thing for data-driven companies. That's what they state is the #1 failure for data-driven companies is process and people. So what we want to do is we want to get these people through this change process quickly so that we can drive it again, and they get used to change, which is inherent in data-driven organizations. And we also want to make sure that they don't go into that dip. So that's my pitch to you, or our pitch to you, why we do this. But how can you adapt that? How can you change how can you create a user community to help affect that? And to do that, we are going to take a look into the guide of blueprint for community. We're going to talk to you about the community network of some regular people that you may recognize in yourself or in others in your organization. Next, we'll look at some of the tools within Blueprint. So we'll talk about hardcore things that you can do in your organization to make a difference, which I always love, and the process of how we put together Blueprint and how that will actually help you to make the change or to facilitate helping with the change that occurs in your data-driven organization. Finally, we'll talk about some customers that we have seen changes in and show some wins of how this is possible, and that we're not just talking about this from our perspective, but people have done it, and we've observed it and rode that wave with them. And finally, we'll give you some quick wins, which we're going to break down into 2 categories. One is for today, something you can do, and it'll give you something to do when you're waiting in line at the airport or waiting for that taxi or whatever. And then the other one that we can bring back to your organization to say, hey, look what I learned. Ain't I cool? But first, I'm going to introduce you to my friend here and colleague, David Zelli. He has worked for Tableau for 4.5 years, I think, yeah? He was one of the first, or the OG members of the customer success team over there. And he hails from France and Martinique. He takes care of our largest companies in France and Southern Europe, if I get that correctly. And he's a master with a lot of things. So I'm going to pass it over, but I've skipped the one bit. I skipped the one bit I was supposed to do, which is ruin this queue. But he is, and I'll tell you this in secret, an avid collector of Starbucks mugs from places he travels to.
Guilty. You know my secret. Now, Rob McCormack, CSM for the UK area. He's been with Tableau for nearly 6 years now, coming from the sales team. And his love for his customers brought him to the CSM team. He's bringing his creativity and innovation from his art background. And he's a true Canadian. So this guy is a lover for hockey. He says sorry 450 times a day, we counted. And he has 3 Tim Horton mugs on his desk. It's not a lie, it's a reality.
It's in the blood, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So the customer success team, what is it actually? We are the team which is responsible to drive your enablement. We are helping our customers to really achieve their goals with Tableau. And we are here to help you realizing the value you get from Tableau as fast as possible. Okay, so today what we're going to do is to introduce you some tools that will allow you to get back home and really focus on enablement and reach your adoption goals. So let's start with, you might have seen this picture a few times already, again and again, but this is the core message that we want you to get out of this TC. So it is your blueprint core capabilities. So you have the agility, proficiency, community, and all of this around a governance environment, which will be putting your data available in a secured and trusted, via secured and trusted content and processes. As a reminder, the agility part is just to create an environment which will be scalable, which will grow depending on your needs. The proficiency part is aligned with our Tableau mission, which is to help people to see and understand their data so they can take data-driven decisions. And the community part, on which we're going to focus now, is the the network of users that will drive this enthusiasm, this adoption and collaboration in your company so the usage can actually keep the momentum. We've seen previously that the two main challenges that the community is answering is the lack of collaboration and the change management. When we think about those two challenges, we think about those guys, right? It's not a very nice picture, but you'll get the idea. So those guys are just too busy to even consider new tools and processes. They are too comfortable with their old tools, or they are stuck in their old attitude and behaviors, right? So just picture those guys in your company. I'm sure you know some of them.
Are you them?
Yeah. Are you?
Are you them? Yeah.
We can actually be one of them. Actually, it happened to us, actually, which is the best of us. And so what we're doing is by working with our clients, we identify that those guys can be 5 personas, which are the key part of the community. And we're going to go through those personas now, quickly. While we are doing so, try to picture who is in your organization, who are those personas, and where you fit actually in those personas. So first of all, there is the enablement manager. We're going to call her Elizabeth, sorry. She's a product owner, the enablement manager. She's obviously, her mission is to enable the users and show Tableau value, right? A challenge is that she feels under pressure and underappreciated because at the beginning of the enablement process, her impact on the organization is not very palpable, right? So she doesn't have a lot of support and she works in silos. She doesn't have a voice in the company. It might be you, actually. Think about who is Elizabeth in your company.
We work with these people all the time, and my hat goes off to them, because when you're in an organization, often you're given this giant of a task, and you're just told, get on with it. And
yeah.
So we help to support them, but there are people that often wear many hats. They'll talk a lot of different ways through the organization to communicate with those people. So just hats off to you if you are one of these people.
Yeah.
We love you.
It will get better. Then there is Rob, the Tableau champion. It could be he's an ambassador for change. So this guy is an expert with Tableau. He has a deep technical understanding of Tableau. And he's producing beautiful dashboard. His only challenge is that he's really isolated. No one knows he exists. He's creating his dashboard in his corner. And he has no recognition. And he doesn't even know he's a champion. Right? So think about those guys. You might be one of those guys. You create beautiful dashboard. No one actually appreciates your work.
It's a tough life.
Yeah. Then there is Sharon. Sharon is a data consumer. So it's potentially everyone in the company. She has a Tableau license. She's a knowledge worker. And her only goal is to really get new insight from her data and take data-driven decisions. Her only challenge is that she has no time. She's overwhelmed by all the information around her. She's in a deep routine with her old tools, and she's overwhelmed, as I said already. She doesn't have the support actually needed to reach the next level with Tableau.
I mean, we've all been in this situation. I can think of thousands of times where I've just gotten myself into a mess with too much work and you just don't see anything. And it's about being aware of that, of people in the organization and supporting them to get them out of that, which is what all this community is about. It's hinging on trying to get these people, because they are part and parcel, could be any of the other roles. But shout out to data consumers.
Todd is a potential user. We had to add him in the picture because he's that guy who is a knowledge worker as well. He doesn't have a Tableau license yet. He's still using the old analytics tool, often going to the analytics and IT teams to get reports done or even to get it modified. His challenge is that he has a limitation in data exploration, and he has a strong IT dependency. And he's not even entirely sure about the data, the relevance of the data he's receiving from the analytics team. We all know a Todd in our company. And then last but not least, Colleen. Colleen is the exec sponsor. She can be CTO, CMO, whoever at the exec level. She's a data consumer as well, and her only focus is seeing the benefits of Tableau on the company and the impact that it brings.
The biggest changes we've seen kind of over the last year that we were running with the CSM program was when these people were involved. So we've started to help our customers to develop a way to open a conversation with them, because they make the difference between getting money for training and getting events.
They're actually a big change driver. And then, so they are not a sponsor yet at all. They don't see the value of Tableau at the moment. And we need urgently to show them the value. So our aim is to, now we have identified all those personas and the challenges. What we want to address today is how to answer those challenges, right? So that Elizabeth can become a recognized leader and can take can actually be a key part of the goals, the strategic goals achievement of the company. For Rob to be recognized as an expert, and for him to build his personal brand, so he can be open to new promotions or opportunity in the company. For Sharon to feel supported, guided, and inspired, and happy to find new insight and and take data-driven decisions. For Todd to feel part of this analytics community, and for him to see the Tableau benefits. And for the exec level to Colleen to perceive what are the Tableau impacts on the organization. And all of this with this end goal, again, to break silos, okay, and to create this cross-functional collaboration to enhance the support and erase the obstacle in using the product. And for the organization to become a self-sufficient enablement environment. So now we spoke about the why and what. Let's dig into a dive in the blueprint with Rob.
Yeah. So do you guys relate to some of those? I don't know, nodding heads I'm looking for here, yeah? Relate some of those, you can see those in the organization. I mean, it's good to identify and just, it's often a practice of kind of self-identifying where these things are, so you can see where you kind of lie and try to find other people in the organization. Off my high horse. This is Blueprint. I hope this isn't the first time you've seen it in this conference. A lot of people have spoken about it, and it's pretty great because we've been talking a lot about it with our customers for a while. I won't go through an overview of it again. You've heard a couple already, but if you have any questions, come talk to us. There's some people on our customer solutions booth probably for a little bit afterwards, so you can go talk to them as well, but I'm happy to answer any questions. We're going to focus on community. So communication, engagement, and support. If you look on the side, these are the topics. So within Blueprint, we have the different stops, or different kind of circles. And within those, there's a series of topics that you can read in the guide to be able to do. Easy peasy. So that's with the step-by-step element. We can get support in Tableau. We're more than happy to support you with this. We've been really close to this. But today, we are going to look at first the process of why they put everything in the order they did. Why is communication first? Why is engagement and then support? And to answer that, what we're going to do is we're going to overlay it with a change management process from our friends over at ProSci. And we're going to look at the different stages and see how that relates to both change management and also to what we talked about earlier. So, communications. In change management, we call it the current state. This is where you want to focus on creating awareness and a desire for the change. If you remember that your person in the organization that's going through the change cycle is in the deep dive down there. And if you are able to grab them and get them in line so they feel like they know what's going on with the change and that they're supported in that change, then they won't go in that deep dive. Like an acquisition. If you're in the know, then you feel like you know what you're doing. Shame, I don't know if that didn't work. Next up is transition. So when you're going into that transition, you're either diving down into the depths of depression, maybe not that bad, but maybe you're going down and your motivation's going down, and you need to feel supported. This is the point where you lose people if you don't give them the one-on-one support so that they know what they're doing and they're educated and they have the knowledge and the ability to maintain in the new way of things. This is where you have to grab those people, because if you don't, then what happens is they get to the bottom and they'll give up on whatever you're trying to change them to do, and they become those Todds. Nobody really wants to be a Todd. Todd is sad. He's a dreamer. But he lives in his mom's basement. So that's what you want to do. You drive the knowledge, and that will help them to keep that, remember that smooth wave? We try to get them back up there. And then the final set is important, and this is where we've seen some people kind of, you think you got the job done, you're like, people are educated, everything's going, but you need to create a support process to reinforce what you did in the first 2 to 3 steps. Because if you don't, then what happens is that people new coming into the organization will keep going through that same cycle, and they won't learn from what you've done. So you need to create a support process so that you're able to bring new people into the fold and support them through that. So, what do you think of Blueprint now? I mean, when I looked at this, it was pretty interesting to see like that this is what we were trying to do. And it connects really well. But we talked a lot about kind of why and leading up to the point, but I know a lot of you are sitting here and you want to bring something back with you, so we're going to talk about the different topics involved in that, and we're going to talk about the value that we see from our day-to-day job. It's probably the best thing we can give to you. Starting with communication. See that transition again? Maybe not. Enablement Internet. This is the heart and soul of your organization. It has all the information so people can go. You probably have it in there for things like HR and travel plans and all these different things. But for your Tableau enablement, this is within Blueprint for everyone who's taking pictures. You can take pictures if you want, but it is in there, and it'll go through each individual piece of this. This gives you an understanding of what you should have in there, which is pretty much anything that someone has a question about, they should be able to quickly get that answer. Another version of it is, I think I broke this. Oh, there we go. Another version is a wiki. The main difference here is that this is often includes content from your Tableau champions. It's some place where the data consumer can come and see what's been built, see how they should build things and how they can get, where they can go, what user groups, these types of things. And it's really kind of for the people, by the people. Yep. Go.
About to say that this is an example we share with our clients, and yeah, it is basically a template for you to build it in your own context and with your own brand and identity, right? So I think we could make that available as well to our client. We give them to our client for them to follow this path. If you have no idea where to start with your enablement intranet, we could share that with you as well.
Bonus is Vince Vaughn and James Franco. Yeah, so this one, I mean, for the data consumer, the enablement manager, this is such a handy tool for them because they can drive, if you do this right, they can drive people there for training, for all these things that we're going to talk about later on. So took a bit of time with those ones because they're important, and they're really first place we recommend people starting. Next is the newsletter. We all have too many in our inbox, and we may hate them, but if you do them correctly in your organization, they are the key place to getting your data consumer to be in the know. Remember that first bit where we're talking about where people are diving down? You're trying to create awareness, right? And you have these data consumers that are really swept up with what they're doing. And if they get an email letting them know there's an event, maybe some cake or something, I don't know, that gets me out. But if you have those, then people might come out and you'll get more people in the fold and more people buying into the change that you're facilitating. Finally, the chat. Chat forums. This is an example of chat. We started using Slack about a year ago. It is essential for asking questions really quickly, working on a global level, finding people in a company directory, letting them know who's really into Star Wars. Communication, I mean, different aspects, different tools. This is a source of so much information. And once again, going back, you're trying to grab those people that are diving down and feel lost or feel isolated. So this is a really good way of doing that. It's also a great way of letting your team know that you went to the dentist and they messed up your teeth, and then they can ridicule you with gifts.
Yeah, and
Thanks,
to add to that, actually, you can see on your left the number of channels that we have, which are focused on either support, blueprints, or consulting. And every time we have a question, we just slide a question here, and we get the answer instantly. So it's really like decreasing our questions to like the normal path of going to support or wherever. Just go there, ask your question, and you get the answer. We also have the user directory, so we know actually who are those persons, where they are based, when we can, and how we can call them. And it's a very useful tool, actually, that is accelerating the collaboration. So it's very powerful if you want to actually start with your enablement journey.
This is one that we use. This has changed my job, the way I work, quite heavily. I work now quite a bit across the globe, and this has made it possible. Also connecting with people in things like social groups, like hip hop is nice. But I mean, on a serious note, it's actually really good to connect people together so you get to know people on a personal level. This is not in Blueprint per se, it's referenced in there, but these are a few things from the community that we find super helpful and definitely apparent. I'm getting on a soapbox. Data literacy is the #1 thing we should be pumping out to our data consumers en masse. Because when we went to school, we didn't learn data literacy. We didn't learn like what chart we should be using, which is what that one up in the right-hand corner of the Tableau Viz cookbook tells you. Tells you when you should use a bar chart versus a line chart versus scatter plots or any number of things. So that you can put that in your wiki, your enablement, send it out in a newsletter, tell someone about it. And it'll increase people's confidence in being able to use data to find answers to the questions for their day-to-day work. Because that's, at the end of the day, we all want to get noticed, we all want to feel relevant, and that will allow you to do that if you're given the tools. The gallery is a great way for inspirations. It, once again, has that same change. And finally, over here, the dashboard style guide. This started going through Tableau. We started sending it to a lot of our customers because it's not apparent that you just throw a dashboard together and then everyone understands what's going on. We've all had presentations where you go through and you're like, I'm real slick. And then they're like, I have no idea what your dashboard means. And you're just pointing to things. And if you've ever seen Andy Cockery's presentation on presentations, he talks a lot about this. So this dashboard style guide will also give you brand information for your organization. Make sure that if you're using pink in a presentation, it doesn't mean that it's mildly bad, but maybe you just like pink. I don't know. There's all kinds of things on there, but moving forward, this is the community tools. So we went through them, Enablement, Internet, all of these, you saw them go through. They are essential because they're the things that get people at the first bit. Stop for pictures and move. So that was communications. Going through enablement, I took a little bit more time with communications because we talk about those a lot. But enablement is equally as important. The first one is Tableau user groups. So you've been here, you see our user groups are around here. You see many people have made their careers by being part of the user group. You see that a user group is essential for helping to support people, to get them to better understanding. But what you don't see is that many of our customers have user groups internally, sometimes for their admins, sometimes for all kinds of people, and they're incredibly helpful to bring people into the fold, to let them know it's okay with what's changing and to get answers or get someone to help them to build something. We use this and abuse this all the time in our team because we're always trying to get help, so we turn to our community.
Yeah, and it can be flexible before going to Tableau Day. Just a user group can be admin user group, champion user group, exec user group, like any collaboration group that can exchange an idea and on how to progress with their objectives or to find new objectives on their specific subject matter. So I think it's really important actually. You can be flexible about it and creative about it.
And they're fun. I don't know, I started going into the user groups about a year ago. But they're actually loads of fun. You go there, it's hilarious. They really do a good job in a lot of the regional user groups. And so attend them. It'll give you ideas. It's fun. Tableau Day. This one, I had a friend mention, she said to mention that you should be really selfish with Tableau Day. It is your chance to get content in front of executives that they wouldn't normally see. If you get enough people into a room and you say that you're doing training enablement, you're talking about high levels, Tableau, we often will go and support these things because they're really good. But it's an opportunity to say, okay, this is what we've been working on, and this is the value that we hold for the company. So then all of a sudden, the executives, and we see this all the time with Tableau Days, which is why they've really increased since they first were developed, is because you get the executive sees what you're doing and it sees how much support you have from the community. And then they start getting involved, they want to steer that into a way that fits the company's narrative. Yeah. So great for everyone.
Just you will see an example of the impact of a Tableau Day in the customer stories soon, especially at the exec level.
That's me. Viz games. I think probably most of you came out of Iron Viz. I mean, it's a source of Viz games. Gamification is a cool word now. But it really is. It's just a really fun thing to do with people that can drive a lot of business value. I don't know, but I work with, if she's in the room, but I work with this one company, and there's this really inspiring lady in the company. Is she manages all of the Tableau in the organization, and she actually goes and gets business problems from the executives, and then creates a competition internally so that people from all over the business take a shot at trying to find the best way to solve that problem. And it gives these incredible opportunities. She also has a prize where every quarter the executives will actually look at the workbooks that were created, and they'll take a look to see which is the best one, and whoever wins that comes to TC. So we got to see these people coming, and I guarantee you, I didn't get to meet them, I just saw them from a distance, but I could tell that they were the most excited people to be here because they won the opportunity to come all the way from where they're from to Berlin. And they're just as excited as I am. As you can see, I'm waving my hands.
Yeah, and it's a good way as well to identify your expert, your Tableau champions. We spoke about it before.
Right, good point.
Yeah, time and time again, we did Tableau days with our clients. We do a Viz game, and at the end, we are always impressed by some users that actually no one knew, that are just posting on the server, and we just analyze their dashboard in terms of storytelling, design, and technical ability, and it's incredible what we can find, and we can use those guys in our enablement process afterwards. So it's a really good way to identify those guys.
Also going to give a shout out to Makeover Monday. If check it out, makeovermonday.com, or email anyone at Tableau will tell you about it. It is a great way to get people to increase their confidence in their inherent ability to show data. This is a way to do it. Makeover Monday is a really easy way to do that. You sit down for an hour every week and you build a dashboard or you build a view based on something that someone else did to try to make it better. And you can find out that you have value as people. So believe in yourself, people. Tableau conference, I don't know if I need to say anything. It's great for everyone. I mean, training, every year we increase the capacity in the training rooms, and every year we have people that miss some trainings and need to do it later on. I mean, there's so much here in terms of all of you that are in the room, the networking, you learn so much. I've been to like 5 of these now, and it's just as exciting. And we have bands and things and dancers and Rocky Horror Picture Show. How cool is that? So that one's, I mean, it's pretty easy to say that. There's one coming up in Vegas, 20,000 people. There's an extra day on that. There's loads of training. I mean, we're doing more things with customer success and solutions there as well. I'm pitching now. Sales hat, bye-bye. Engagement activities are good. And you see that those are all there. They're really good and they're really fun to do, so they're probably a pretty easy pitch.
Yeah, one to remember. So now we spoke about communication and engagement. Let's dive into support. The support, which is a reinforcement of everything we saw now. So, okay, you drive trends with the communication and engagement, and you want to sustain this usage. And one way to do that is to support your users along the way and for them to find answers constantly so they can actually keep on using the product and get a data-driven decision. So first, the champion. So again and again, it's coming back a lot, but it's a key actually to your enablement process. We've seen in our work with our companies that the enablement manager needs some people to help to support him to actually promote the product internally, right? And those champions can be in different departments, right? So they can be, the ideal deployment would be to have champions in every team in your company, at least one person who could help in each department. And those champions will reduce the dependency on the support team because everyone can actually ask the question to them instead of going to the support path. You got to connect actually the users and really identify what are the common actually problematic in each team. They're going to orient and promote. They're going to orient and mentor actually the new users so they can get started quickly, and they can promote actually Tableau usage internally. So it's a really important point. If you can identify them as fast as possible in your engagement path, just do it use those kind of tools that we saw before, like the Viz contest and so on, to identify them. Tableau Day, for instance, as well.
It's all identified in Blueprint as well. This is a major component of Blueprint.
Then there is a doctor session. So Tableau Doctor is a quick and easy way to keep traction on the usage, right? Doctor session is as it says, it's a doctor consultancy. Like you go, the users are the patients and the experts are the doctors, and the users can ask their technical questions to the experts. And it can be done via a very structured way, and we do have actually all the materials needed for you to put that together with a list of a formula when you can add your questions before the sessions, with a dashboard which is showing you the topics for each doctor sessions. And it can be done very simply by putting someone, an expert, in a room every week or every 2 weeks for 1 hour, and just to, for the users to get into this room and get their technical answers, questions answered. And we do that in Tableau, actually.
Yeah. I don't think it's about just solving problems. This is about creating opportunities for training and support for your regular community. I mean, in Tableau, when we get hired, we have to do a bronze certification, which is changing, but we have to build our own dashboard. And that's silver, sorry. Silver certification, we have to build our own dashboards. It's been a while. But this forces us to go to our doctor internally, and it forces us to get that confidence to be smooth and articulate with Tableau. And that's the whole point of it, is that everyone can do that. Sorry.
And it's allowing to again, identify the recurring issues and adapt your training program to those topics. It's also a good way to actually make sure that the best practices are actually applied on all the company, across all the company. Then the skill belt, which is a peer-to-peer assistance again, it's something really easy to deploy in your company. It's similar to a free training program, basically, where you can identify your experts against the level of the belt they are in. You can see on the left-hand side a workbook that was made by our CSM in the US with some different level of expertise based on the Star Wars, so with Jedi Master, Grandmaster. And for every level, you're going to have a list of activities and learning tools that the expert will need to go through to reach each level. A way to communicate that is by using the skill belt logo that you can see on the right-hand side, where it's an example of a company who is using a simple skill belt with just a green, blue, and black belt. And all the experts are putting this kind of logo in their email signature, so that when they communicate internally via email, even via email, they can be recognized, and all users can know actually recognize the experts. It is a simple but good way actually for the champions to be recognized internally and for the users to access those experts. And then, last but not least, obviously the community forum. I hope you've seen this before. So this is the Tableau community forum page, which can be applied in your own context. Okay, so the idea is just to find a place where where users can just pose their questions and get answers quickly again with some experts or via other users, and also to build this knowledge base. Where you won't need actually anymore to have those experts involved, but users can just, with their search tool, look for a question and get the answer quickly. We're using this with we're Googling, we can see that when you Google a question on Tableau, and you see straight away the answer on our community. So the idea is to replicate that in your own context environment.
And I mean, this is a platform for gamification, again. Later on. So this is the platform where you can start to get people who are knowledgeable, are able to answer questions for others, and you can track that and make that searchable. It's also a way to get feedback from people on things that you do. So if a part of your enablement intranet is out of date, someone will tell you. So it's there's all kinds of these things that just come from a simple tool as a forum. But we got Tableau covered because our community is awesome.
Yep. And just as a summary, okay, just keep in mind for the support tools, those 4 ones. So obviously we didn't introduce everything that is on the blueprint to you. It's just the main one that we think could be impactful to you quickly. So now we've been through all this list of tools, and let's see how it works with our clients, right? Our customer on a day-to-day basis. We have plenty of examples of clients deploying those enablement tools. And I will go through those examples now. And please, again, while I go through those examples, try to understand what tools you're using already in your company that you can leverage, or what new tools you could be bringing some value to your organization. So first there is Hotelbeds. Hotelbeds is a bed bank. So it's the biggest hotel room provider for online airlines, tour operators, resellers, all those travel agencies. And basically they are based out of Palma with more than 5,000 people working for them globally in more than 180 countries. They are one of the biggest Tableau online customers in EMEA. And with a bit more than 2,000 users at the moment. They invested heavily in Tableau, and they wanted to make sure that the deployment would be successful from the beginning. So they created this roadmap, BI roadmap, right? It's just a roadmap of enablement activities that is available to all the users in the company. So they posted this in their enablement intranet, so everyone can access it, and everyone can have visibility of what are the activities in the company. So you will see that there are activities on the program training executions with some Tableau training from fundamental to advanced, with some Tableau doctors as well planned. There are like BI adoptions tools with some communication and knowledge sharing tools, and some analytics community tools with all the forums, community, events, champions, and COE, Center of Excellence. So this is just an idea of how you could articulate your enablement program from post-go live to pre-go live. So they went live in January 2019, and they started their enablement program from September 2018. So they drove really this enablement from before the go live and now after go live, which is quite interesting. And then this is their enablement intranet, right? So this is related to what we showed before, but it's again the go-to page for all Tableau related questions, and you can find there all the forums, Q&As, training, Tableau doctor sessions, the on-demand webinars, everything, which is really melted into their context, right? So what is interesting with this intranet, which they call the lobby, is that they can track the community activities. So they can see how many users are connected to the platform, the lobby. They can see the number of subscribers, the trained users, the trained hours, the satisfaction of the users. A lot of tools, the training calendar, so they can see who is going on the training calendars and what trainings is being consumed. So a lot of tools that are really powerful to adjust their enablement plan and plan their education program accordingly.
And we can say that one of the major things that we do in the CSM team is help customers to understand what's going on with their users. It's often the hardest thing to do. So this is a really great way of keeping track of that, and you can set KPIs and things to manage to make sure that you're not having people lose track of what's going on and what's going forward. This is a really good example of that.
Yeah. bioMérieux now is a biotechnology company. They are specialized in vitro diagnostic focused on infectious disease. Well, they are the biggest worldwide. And they have more than 11,000 employees worldwide. They are big subscriptions clients of Tableau with more than 3,000 users at the moment. They started their enablement process when they decided to have a new BI infrastructure using only one database and one analytics tool. The analytics tool was Tableau. And they decided to build a team of champions that would be with a mission to test this new infrastructure and to help the new users of this new infrastructure after a go live. So we focused on those guys, those champions in 2018, end of 2018, with a go live actually planned in May 2019. And what we did is just a few activities focused on those champions. So we started with workshops on parameters and dashboardings, and we decided to create a Tableau day with those champions. So with some workshops on calculation, LODs, really focus on their advanced expertise, and with viz contest as well. And again, as I said, we found like 2 core experts there with these. We are amazed by what they produced, and we kept those 2 experts and used them in our upcoming enablement activities. So in this Tableau Day, it was the starting point for the activities. So we planned already some webinar series, Tableau Doctor sessions. We planned the conference as well, some performance review, dashboard polishing sessions. All those activities what would be driving this kind of this usage. And what happened is this: we have this kind of timeline of activities with which were at the beginning driven with Tableau, with the Tableau experts, right? Now they are totally autonomous. They are a self-driven enablement like programs. They are doing, the experts are driving the Tableau doctors. They are driving their own workshops. Now we're planning another Tableau Day in September to address a bigger population of users. So it's going to be in nearly company-wide with like the supply chain, the HR departments, the finance department, everyone, just to create this kind of visibility at exec level and to promote Tableau internally. And those champions will be the main driver of this new Tableau Day. So this is where we want the level we want to reach with our clients. So give you the tools, start small, and then reach this kind of maturity with your experts and with the activities, and then for it to just drive itself.
One thing I'll point out between these 2 examples, and there are plenty of other examples, is they established a plan going forward and kind of pieced into different parts. I mean, Dav was great in helping in these examples. But that is the main thing behind it, is including community into a long-term plan and how that goes. Because when you're trying to get executive involvement and things like that, you can start piecing value to that. And you can see it's really clear in these 2 examples. It lets people know where they should be when they have to be.
Yeah, it's key. It's all about preparation way before go live and after. Then Lufthansa, you might know this company, you might have heard of them. So the biggest airlines in Germany and one of the biggest in Europe. They are heavy deployment on server and desktop with more than 3,000 users at the moment. Lufthansa is a great example of enablement activities and enablement program. One example which is really impactful is the Tableau Day that they did at the beginning of the year. So they did this Tableau Day which gathered more than 260 attendees with an executive track with 15 executives, with some breakout sessions, Tableau doctors, viz contest, and so on. The agenda is quite small, but you will see that they addressed all the users across the company, starting from executive with the executive track, with breakout session with targeting the new users, with breakout session targeting the advanced users, and with doctor sessions, viz games, and so on. So everything was there to create the buzz around Tableau. And this is a really great example of a Tableau Day. And you can see what the executive said, the head of BI. He literally said that, reading him, this has given us a big boost for Tableau and has made it clear to top management what can be achieved with it. So it's exactly what we said before. The idea is to deploy Tableau and at some point to show the value that it brings to the organization and for the exec to be aware of it. And the best way to do that is by showing use cases with those kind of events. So I forgot to mention that there were three use cases presented there. And this is what we're trying to do, identify the best use cases in the organization and showcase it in a day where the executive is going to be there. So this is a very interesting example for Tableau Days.
Do you remember when Martin came back from there? He was so excited.
Yeah.
He bounded in the office. He's not really, well, he gets excited. But he came in and he was just like, it was a sight to see someone so happy about this. But I mean, they put so much work into this. They really identified what was going on in their user communities and making sure that they touched everyone in there. So there's a lot of work that went into it. And just to go back to what we were talking about in terms of the process of drive. I knew I was going to do that. Blueprint is that it's a process that goes through and it all adds to each other into something like this, which is the culmination of all the work that these people do and showing it off.
Yeah, so that's it for the customer stories. So we wanted you to have an overview of all the tools available and how it's actually impacting some organization we're working with. Now, as we said, we want you to go back to tomorrow and put something together, like have some tools that you can implement for today and tomorrow.
So the first thing we want to do is the thing you can do right now. And some of you hopefully have done it, and hopefully you've visited our friends and colleagues at our booth where we've talked through it. But you can take something called the Blueprint Assessment, where basically what it does is it will walk you through Blueprint, give you some guidance through it, and ask you a series of questions. Those questions will all be related to the things that we recommend you have in place in your organization, and it will give you some scoring. You will receive an email after that, giving you guidance to get to the content that's on our website and bring you to the different areas, so you can see which areas maybe you scored low on, and maybe you're missing things. So don't get upset if you've scored low on an area you thought you'd score high on. But what it'll do is just allow you to focus on areas where you can get really big bang for your buck. And if you do it today, you can win a painting. It's not a painting. Win a piece from the Viz Gallery, which is so cool. I don't know, I think maybe I'm the only one, but some other people, I swear, got excited about this. But you can win this. So when you're sitting at your gate and you're waiting, and you're bored, instead of turning on Netflix, do this quickly. It'll be well worth it. Maybe someone is waiting in line to check out at the hotel. Dude, use it there. All kinds of ideas. I got tons. Come to see me after. Scan the QR code. If you go into the app under Discover and Solutions, the link is there as well. So if you don't have QR scanning abilities, that's that. That's today. Tomorrow when you go back, the 4 things we recommend to 90% of our customers when we first speak to them in the customer success program is to do these 4 things. Establish a wiki page so people have access to information. Take care of your champions because they are the source of any information going forward, and they're the source of being able to help people that are going on that dive down to Sad Town. Set up a chat or forum in your organization so people can get in contact. Many of us have this in place. Maybe it just means setting up a Tableau chat group. This is great you need to get people help. And finally, Tableau Doctor. Even if you're getting someone to sit in a room or turn on a WebEx or a link or whatever and sit there for an hour and you don't get anyone for the first couple of days, do it. Because every single person that walks in there is in a place where they feel isolated and they feel frustrated and they need help. We've seen it so many times. Some of our partners will actually do this in certain customers where they'll help them get to establish this. It is so helpful. And it has saved me a load of times. So please do that. That's all we got. We have time for questions, I think.